High Elves, dead. Dwarfs, also dead. Greenskins, very dead. Bretonia, well, you can guess. This army deletes everything, and you can recruit it at tier 3. Over the last 3 weeks I tested 7 Chaos Dwarf army compositions. Army building is what I enjoy most. I did it in tabletop and I do it here. In this video I'll show you just how good Astragoth and Bull Centaur renders really are. But they have one weakness, and more on that later. Alright, let's strip this down and look at what the army actually is. So the core of the army comp of course are the Bull Centaur renders and Astragoth, as he boosts them significantly. You can choose any variant you want, but I think great weapons are the best. They will chop down monsters like nothing. If you have any trouble with infantry, well, that's what the Astragoth is there for. Few spells and infantry will be deleted. You also need one Castellan for extra campaign movement range, and if you really want, you can add a couple of Bale Tauruses for support, but honestly, there's no need, just keep it simple. Okay, let's see now how they perform in battle. Here is the first battle against High Elves. Sea Lord Aislinn attacked with 2 armies with bunch of Loth and Sea Guard and Oceanids. This is a nasty combination of missile units, anti-large spears and tough monsters. Few charges later and the result is Aislinn dead, infantry shattered and elementals evaporated. It wasn't enough, so Aislinn came for a second round, just to die again. Both times the tactic was the same. High Elves tried to hold the spear line, but it was destroyed by Astragoth's magic, while Bull Centaurs made a quick work of Sea Lord himself. After that it was basically clearing of infantry that survived. Okay, what about the hardest matchup for Chaos Dwarfs? Imrik and his army with fire resistance should be a problem, right? Well, Bull Centaurs don't really care about fire resistance. They chop dragons with great axes and they are very successful at it. In this battle, Imrik dared to charge, just to be killed a few seconds later. If you ever have any trouble with Imrik in your campaigns, this is the army you should recruit. Just send it and watch the elves and dragons die. What about the dwarves? Heavy armor, ton of quarrelers, resistant to magic, nasty slayer lords with anti-large. I faced them in the underway, again, 2 armies against Astragoth and his bulls. However, by this point in the campaign I learned one important lesson, which is don't leave centaurs in the prolonged melee. They can do okay in a grinding combat, but they are much better where they can constantly charge. This is very important, I'll come back to it later. So, Bull Centaurs were charging constantly, from one flank to another and back again, over and over. When necessary, I just pull them back, as they are faster than dwarves. Regroup and charge again. Meanwhile, Astragoth was picking up Slayer heroes. This is basically everything I did until the end of the fight. Okay, another showcase. Gorbad also decided to fight Astragoth, and Greenskins had a cunning plan. They brought 2 massive armies with wags. Overall, more than 3 full stacks of infantry, trolls, giants and chariots. Astragoth once again was clearing infantry mass, while Bull Centaurs were holding them in place. Big frontal charge, cast a few spells and move. That was the drill. Keeping them mobile is crucial because not only bulls do more damage on charge, they also take less damage while moving. Their solid mass of 1500 allows them to disengage as long as there are no faster units keeping them in melee. With massive casts of Black Hammer and low leadership, Orcs and Goblins quickly started to break and run away. The only annoying thing with the chariots, which tried to skirmish, but the Ash Storm casts held them in place for Bull Centaurs to chop them down as well. At the end only the giants remained, and were quickly taken out by anti-large centaurs. In most of the fights you just saw, this army was not even upgraded in Hellforge. Once they get extra buffs, they become even stronger. They can easily take on 4 full stacks and win, once they have Regen, Barrier and so on. But, even without upgrades, Bull Centaurs can do an excellent job, and here are 2 most important reasons why. Number 1, they can take punishment. Bull Centaurs are not an easy target to kill. Astragoth provides them with 50% ward save just by existing, and they can get ton of missile and some physical resistance too. Also, each model has about 700 health, which means that they will not take casualties easily, even when fighting high weapon strength monsters like giants and rogue idols. Number 2, Bull Centaurs do ton of damage. Their weapon strength is unmatched. The anti-large variant is the best if you plan to use them until very late game. By that point you will probably face many big targets. If you only go for short victory campaign, anti-infantry variant is just as good, if not better. However, Chaos Dwarfs have many options to clear out the infantry, both when they are advancing on battlefield with magic or when defending with artillery. But against large targets, when they have to move across the map, Bull Centaurs are the best option. And most of the time during the campaign you will be the one to attack. Okay, this is the best part. Why this army actually works so well. Yes, it's strong, but there are many strong armies in this game. The true power of Bull Centaurs is that they are simple. You point, they charge, things die, that's it. If there is a huge mass of enemy units, Astragoth just casts one spell a couple of times and clears the way. You don't have to think about positioning or synergy or what enemy units are in front of you. Just charge, smash, charge again, smash again, rinse and repeat, until everything is dead. Let's now talk about some weaknesses of this army, because even with all good stuff bulls can get, there are some limitations which can cause problems in battles. I did say they have one weakness, but here are actually 3 things you need to watch out for. First one is obvious. Any flying units that can shoot, like gyrocopters, hawk riders or god forbid thunder badges, will be a huge problem. Bulls cannot attack flying units until they are on the ground, and if flyers can do damage from distance, bulls will become shooting ducks. You will have to try to kill everything else before flyers can kill you and trigger army losses. This is however very doable. Second problem is something I did encounter in my testing campaign, and that is fast and tanky cavalry. Now this is more of an early game problem. In the battle against Imrik, heavy cavalry supported by missile units came up to be quite a challenge, because they can catch Bull Centaurs and slow them down significantly, while archers do the damage. Later on it's not such a big issue, but before bulls are upgraded and boosted in Hellforge, this can actually be a very dangerous situation. Finally, and this is only true in very late game, stronger single entities. By this stage, enemy armies can start bringing multiple very strong single entities, like monsters and lords, who are tough to kill but also do a lot of damage. This is not going to be the case for first 100 or even 150 turns, but depending on how late you plan to play, you might have to replace them at some point. Here is something that is also very important in campaigns. Bull Centaurs are tier 3 unit that can perform at tier 5 level. This army can be recruited as soon as one settlement is upgraded to tier 3 and you can get enough armaments to increase capacity for them. This will usually happen between turns 30 to 40, but with some min-maxing it can be done even sooner. Recruiting them early will provide you with an army most enemies cannot deal with at that tier. Also, it's very cost effective. Astragoth is reducing their upkeep cost by 15%. With few more upkeep reductions from technology and Tower of Tsar, this army will perform and not break the bank. Okay, this is just one of the 7 Chaos Dwarf army comps that I've tested. Some are even stronger, some have other advantages. At the end, I'll compare all of them directly. But this army is must have in every Chaos Dwarf campaign, and even more so when playing as Astragoth. Next, I'll show you a very different Chaos Dwarf army. Same testing, but with very different results. See ya!